Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today the video is going to be paranormal scary short stories. I'll be telling you a few stories that happened in this home where I'm currently making the video. I've been living here for 14 years now, so a long time. And this is just short stories, whatever comes to mind as well, what I'll tell you. And there's definitely multiple stories, not just mine, but also like my siblings and so on. But it's just things that I have experienced in this house. Now, I'm not claiming that my house is haunted, but I definitely do believe in the paranormal because I have just multiple stories. I think the most, which one day I'll probably tell you that story as well, but the most paranormal story I have did not happen in this home. But one day I'll share that story with you guys. For now, I'll just be doing short stories on this video as I scratch her head, play with her hair. So let's get right into it. Okay, so I mean, the train's gonna pass by and you know, it is what it is. But the first story that I can think about, one day I was in the living room. I had all the lights off because I was I love scary movies, by the way. I love scary movies, and I was putting like a scary movie on, and I don't think that had anything to do with what happened that night, but I was watching a scary movie. In fact, I was just beginning to watch a scary movie. And so I had all the lights off. You know, I really wanted to have like that moment, right? Like make it a little spooky since I'm watching a scary movie. And so I'm there watching the movie, probably 15 minutes in the movie. All the lights are off. The only light that I have is whatever the TV light is, you know, it's spreading around. So I'm there, and I have a big plasma TV on the wall. So it's very bright, you know, so it wasn't dark at all because the TV is so big that it brightens up the room. So I'm there and I'm watching the movie, and I'm in the living room, which I have full view of the kitchen. So if you're in the kitchen, like let's say you were cooking, you were washing the dishes, using the microwave, I can see everything. And same goes for if you're in the kitchen, I can see everything in the living room. So they're just right next to each other, right? There's full view. So I'm on the couch watching this movie, and next thing you know, I hear the microwave go on. But there's nobody in the kitchen, right? Like I'm alone. Everybody's in their room or, you know, probably asleep. And so I'm alone there, and I'm like, it caught me off guard. I was like, what? So my first thought was like, maybe someone is hunching down and they're trying to scare me, and they turn the microwave on. You know, like they push the button and they're hunching down somewhere, trying to spook me, right? That's what I thought. Somebody in the house was trying to do that. So I get up, I turn the light on in the kitchen, and there's nobody there. There's nobody there. I look at the microwave, and indeed, it's on. It's on. The light in the microwave is on. It's spinning, and the only thing that caught me off guard was the fact that the timer, you know how it does like a countdown? So it wasn't counting down. Now it's been a couple of years now, so I don't remember what the timer said. Like, I don't know if it was like 2 minutes and 20 seconds. Like, I have no idea. And so the thing that caught me off guard is that the timer is not counting down. So whatever number was there that night, it was just still. So I know maybe you guys can say, well, it sounds like I malfunctioned. But the microwave, after that incident that I had, it worked perfectly fine. It didn't give us any troubles. And it worked for years. One day we ended up changing the microwave, but it was years later just because we wanted to upgrade. It has nothing to do with the microwave not working or anything like that. So that's the first scary story. Second scary story is one time I was in my room, I got up, and you know, when you get up in the morning, you want to go use the bathroom, you want to brush your teeth, right? So I opened my door of my room, and as I'm walking towards my door of the room, to, you know, to go open it and exit into the hallway to go into the bathroom, which is right around the corner, I hear heavy footsteps, like, you know, like heavy footsteps, you know? And I was like, huh, who's up right now, you know? Because normally at that time, it was just me and my kid getting ready. So that happened. And then I walk out, I open the door, you know, getting ready, I guess, to see whoever was there, which I was not scared because I didn't think it was anything paranormal. I just thought, oh, I wonder who's up. So, let me get up. So then I opened the door and I don't see anyone. And the hallway is not that long. So I walk down the hallway, right, the short hallway that we have here. And the first thing you will bump into is the living room and then eventually the kitchen. And I look at the living room, I look at the kitchen, there's no one there. We have a heavy front door. So if someone would have exited, I would have heard it. And I didn't. I didn't hear anything. So I was like, what? So come to find out, you know, as you know, I'm brushing my teeth, I'm doing my makeup, getting ready for the day after that incident. I was weirded out and I was just thinking and thinking, and come to find out, the day, I realized the date that it is. And it's the date that my grandpa had passed away. True story, you guys. And I think that was his spirit or something. And you know, I know not everyone, maybe even you, don't believe in the paranormal, but if I hear those footsteps and then I realize that the date that I heard those footsteps was the date that, you know, my grandpa passed away. Now, it wasn't the exact day he passed away. I mean, it was, but not the year is what I'm trying to say. It's not the, he'd been dead for a couple years. And, but not too many years. At that time, it was still, I mean, for me, 3 or 4 years is still recent, you know? To me, it's like, it's still pretty recent. So it was recent, right? But it only been a couple years, but then I realized that that's what I had heard. My grandpa, you know, I truly believe that's who I heard that night, or morning, sorry, when I was getting ready to take my son to school. So that's the second story. The third story, so it was my mom's birthday. We went out to this restaurant, we ate, you know, all her kids and her grandkids as well. We came back home, you know, everybody went to their own house. I came back home, and next thing you know, but this time it was already dark, and I'm in my room, I'm in my bed, I'm leaning back, okay, I'm leaning back against the wall. So there's like my window up here, and then down here is like the wall, right? But I have a pretty big window. But I heard knocking, but the knocking that I heard was not knocking at the window. It was knocking right below the window, right? So it was like that. But probably a little faster, honestly. It was probably like 3 knocks. And I was like, what? So at that time, I had one of my brothers living here. And I go over to his room and I was like, did you just knock? And he's like, no. He's like, why? And I told him why. So he comes to my room, he opens the window, he sees out the window, doesn't see anything. Right behind my window is the backyard. So he goes to the backyard with the flashlight, looks all around, and there's nobody there. The next day, was it that same night? No, I think it was the next day. So the next day, like probably morning or early afternoon, my dad calls me. And he goes, hey, guess what? And I said, what? And then he told me that, so one of my neighbors, which that man has known me since I was a little girl. And I do recall seeing him here and there, but Like towards the end, I mostly saw him um, walking with his wife because his wife had dementia or has dementia, and he will be like her caregiver, and he will walk her, you know, I guess to like distract her. Or I mean, I don't know. I never had anyone in my family or close to me have that, but I will see him walking with her a lot, and so he would just wave at me, you know, because he knew me since I was little, even though I didn't really have much of a memory of him like that, because I was young, you know, at that time. When he, I guess at some point we were neighbors. I mean, we're neighbors now, but his house is probably like 8 houses that way. And when I was, I guess, like a toddler, from what my dad told me, is that he was basically, there was a duplex, and he lived in one of the duplex, and we lived in the other duplex. So I guess he will always remember me as that little girl, like in the next duplex, you know. But I did not have any memory of that. Years later, we moved here. Well, not too long later, but yeah, a couple of years later, we moved here, and to this other neighborhood that we're at right now. And they were already here, so they were here before us. But come to find out, is that he passed away. And the day that he passed away was the day that I heard the knocking. Not to mention, not only was the same day that, how do I say it? The knocking that I heard the day before was the day he died, but it was also around the time that he passed away. So apparently he was hanging out with one of his friends, and they were just, you know, chilling. And next thing you know, he goes, "Hey, I'll be right back. I gotta go use the bathroom." So he gets up to use the bathroom. He takes a long time. And so his friend goes to check on him, and he finds him on the floor. He's on the floor. They call the ambulance. I don't know if it was right there at his home or at the hospital, but I mean, eventually he passes away. And that's when I experienced that, when, you know, and he didn't talk to me. Like I said, he will only wave at me. So like, you may say to yourself, well, why you? Like, why would he not go with his family? And I completely agree. But I heard the knocking, and it was around the time he passed away, the same day. So I don't think that's a coincidence, you know? And, you know, I don't think it was anyone playing a trick on me or anything like that. So, yeah, that's the third story. And this video is already 13 minutes long, so I'm just going to leave it right there. But if you want a part 2 for more scary stories of this home, I definitely have more scary stories. So I hope you enjoyed, and thank you for watching.